Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Flower School podcast. And today I have the fabulous Jenny coming in from Dallas in the United States to chat to us all about her journey in flowers, her competitions. She is the award-winning top florist in the United States, and the highest ranking, I suppose, at the moment. Jenny, am I right?
You're right. Yes.
Absolutely. I'm delighted to have you here, and thanks a million for agreeing to chat to us. Tell us a little bit about yourself. So tell us, where did your flowery journey start? Are you born into flowers? How did you get there? I know you've been in retail, so tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, for sure. I love to hear everybody's flower stories, don't you?
Yes, absolutely.
I think it's fascinating how people get in. I think a lot of the times you hear one of two ways. Either people were born into it or people just needed a part-time job and fell into it. And that was me for sure. There was a flower shop on the way home from university and they were hiring. And I popped in and I needed a job and they said, absolutely. And I got hired. And then probably within a month, they saw that I was really grabbing onto it very quickly. I could conceptualize a three-dimensional form from a two-dimensional picture and just knew the shape and where it needed to go. And they started giving me bigger things. And I was instantly hooked. Like I knew that I had found the thing that was going to be my thing, and came home and told my mom, this is what I want to do. And she's like, great, finish school.
Just in case.
Just in case there's a backup. So I did my just 2 years. And I was like, I really just want to be in flower shops. And so I worked for 3 flower shops. And at the age of 22, decided I was going to open up my own, did all the legwork. And then at 23, actually opened the doors to my very own flower shop in St. Louis and ran a successful shop, grew and had to get a bigger space, grew again, had to get another bigger space, and then finally grew even more and ended up in the location that it currently resides. And at that time ended up buying the real estate, which was a great thing for me to do. Any business owner to buy the real estate is fantastic. So highly recommend that. But was in that space running my own shop, and then found myself into education also just by a whim. I was suggested by a mentor of mine that I really needed to put in for a presentation on the national stage for the American Institute of Floral Designers. And I put in for a presentation and it was accepted. And that put me on the stage for the very first time in front of 800 people that year at the symposium. And after that stage presentation, I was hooked and I was picked up on an education team, and I've been educating locally in the United States, and that has now propelled me to worldwide.
It's amazing. It's a fantastic journey. And I love the fact, and it's, as you say, it's probably the case with a lot of people, we fall into it, we fell into it. I was probably born and battered into it. We had no choice. We had to go into the shop after school and do all that sort of thing. But yeah, like it is amazing. And I really do believe what's for you doesn't pass you, that you obviously, it was there for you for the taking. You represented the United States in the World Cup, and that's where we met you for the first time, was in Manchester. Is it 2 years ago that was on? Tell us about that. How did that all come about?
Oh my goodness. So in the States, to be a contestant for that competition, they have certain other competitions you have to be a part of and you have to win, and then you go to the next one and you have to win that one and you go to the next one, and then you can be the US representative. And that's exactly what happened. I went through the other competitions and won, and finally got to that step, that the last competition, and it was between me and 3 other extremely talented ladies. And it was the final one on stage, and we did our last piece and it was judged. And I remember walking off that stage and told my fiance, now husband, I looked at him and I said, I just won. Like I knew it. I knew I was going to be that person. And when they called my name, I was like, oh my God. So it was just excitement from that moment on, really kind of living on a high, living on cloud 9. And then all of the process to planning for that competition is unlike anything I've ever done. Probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my career in floral was getting ready for that competition, conceptualizing those big, massive pieces, looking at it from a different eye, because they're evaluating from their judge's perspective, which is a European perspective. And I've been taught and studied the American perspective. So that was incredibly interesting, but I was really grateful that previous to this, I've also gone through European Masters Certification, and I've been able to go over and study with people abroad and in Europe and in Germany and Switzerland. So I had a little bit of that view of what that would be. And then being there for the competition, oh my good, I can't even put it into words. It was so wholesome. I'll say that. I don't feel that anybody that was there was big on their self or boastful on their self. Everyone was very humble and supportive of each other. And it just felt right. Like I was in the right space at the right time at the right moment, and I was supposed to be there. And whatever happened, happened. The chips fall where they may. And every time they called in the competitors, and this will stay with me forever, we got to carry our flag, right? Yeah. Every country walked in carrying their flag, and they played this music, and, you know, they announce you and you wave. And I thought the first time I got a little choked up and was like, oh my gosh, this was great. And I thought, okay, that's not going to happen every time, because we had to do the flag march every day. It happened every day. I was just so proud I was there, and I was the person from the whole United States to be there. I mean, it's just,
it's incredible. It's an incredible honor to represent your country. And in Ireland, we only have 6 million people. So like, to represent how many people? 600 million people in the United States.
I don't even know how many people we have.
Yeah, in the United States. Absolutely incredible. How many? I know you've done a lot, and you obviously coming from the States. How was the logistics of that? Like, I know there was prep work beforehand. How much time and how many pieces did you have to make for it?
Yeah, sure. So we had 2 pieces that were large. Well, they could be large. Let's say that. They were, you know, wider than me, longer than me, higher than me was what they could be. And you have to fill this massive booth. And I didn't have the ability to go over early to prepare them there. So I had to prepare these pieces and these structures here. And then I had to ship them. I had to palletize them, and they had to go on a boat and ship over there. So in order for that logistics to get over there in enough time, they had to leave here a month before. And so once they left, I didn't have the pieces to work on anymore. And so, and you're like hoping and praying that they show up.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
So those 2 pieces logistically wise to get over there was pretty hard. The other piece that we got to bring, it was for a bridal piece to be worn by the hand, wrist, or arm for a wedding above the clouds. And I decided, well, I'll make a ring, because that's different. You know, that's weird. Nobody's going to do that. And it turns out my hunch paid off, because I scored very high in the ring. But that was so small that I could bring it with me. And luckily I did bring it with me, because the 3 prototypes that I had made with a 3D printer all cracked the week before I left. So I had to last minute, as florists do, we become MacGyvers. Do you guys MacGyver the show, right? We become MacGyvers and try to figure out, like, what kind of magic can I make happen out of my hands? You know, that kind of thing. So I'm figuring out a week before, like, oh my gosh, how do I make this ring base, because my other one's broke. So that was a blessing that I didn't ship that before, and figured it out, and it worked.
Yeah. And you know, you're so right when you say about florists thinking on our feet. And that is really, it's one of the main skills a florist needs to have, is to be able to adapt to a situation, to change things very fast, whether it's you're in a shop or whether you're in a wedding reception or an event or something. Things can go wrong, and we really have to be. And MacGyver is actually a really good example, because you're pulling things, zip ties and this and that, to try and pull it all together. As we say, doing the duck, looking really calm on top and paddling like feck underneath.
That's what my grandma says a good hostess does too.
So tell us then, you got this opportunity. Where did you learn all this competition? Like, who was your mentor? Who was your teacher? So you said you went to Europe, but like, how did you find out? Like, how did you get to where you are with your education in competition work?
In competition work, I don't have a mentor. I didn't have anyone that I could go study with. There was no workshop or course that I could enroll in to learn the insider tips and tricks on, you know, make sure you have this, or make sure you're thinking about this. Or there was nothing. I learned, as we say, trial by fire. I
Wow.
threw myself in and just said, I'm either going to sink or swim. And that's the only way to do it. In my experience was I had to just throw myself into the situation and figure it out. And I have learned a lot of tips and tricks on what to do and what to think about and what not to do. That's a big thing. Just through the process of putting myself in there. And what I love a lot about competition work is it's a muscle that you can never flex in the flower shop, because you might have a time restraint. There's a delivery driver standing there. You've got to get to the funeral. You've got to get to the church. You've got to get this done. There might be that kind of thing, but there's a different muscle. These are flowers. Most of the time, you don't know what the flowers are. You don't know what the theme is. You've never made this before. You're probably never going to make this again. Like, there's just a huge challenge to that I find so much joy in. And unless I put myself in that competition world, I never really get to play with that and see how I can achieve whatever that task is. And I just love it.
Yeah. And you know what? Like, your Instagram is great. You're always doing new things on your Instagram and showing new things and showing new ideas. And, and they're a love-hate, I'm sure. Some people love them, some people hate them. And that is competition work. That is just the what goes along with competition work. But I have to say, I love your Instagram, and we will have Jenny's Instagram is in the description for anyone that wants to go over and follow her over there. There's so many rules and guidelines in competition work. What did you find the biggest challenge?
Oh, that is a great question. I think the biggest challenge always is going to be the time. No matter what you're doing, even if it's something that I've prepared and I've practiced for World Cup, that time is something that never stops, and you have to keep going. And I tell everyone, if they're training with me for competition or they're looking for one bit of advice, I tell everyone, don't jump in. The time is there, and it can be something that hurts you or it could be something that helps you. And it's a hurdle, but you have to be able to conceptualize what you're going to do first before you jump in to do it. Some people, as soon as they say go, they're grabbing their things and they're just going. And they probably didn't think about it 5 steps down the road from when they started, and they get there and they're like, oh, shoot. When that time goes, if it's specifically for a surprise task, I don't go right away. I stop, I center myself, I look at my product, I look at my materials, and I start to conceptualize, what am I going to do? And it needs to be 2 things. It always needs to be something that no one else is doing, and it always needs to be clean. Those are my 2 things that I think about. And then, you got to be the duck, and you got to swim like hell, and you just have to go fast.
And go fast. So, putting aside the competition work, where are you now in your flower life? Tell us, what are you doing now? So where's Flowers brought you at the moment?
Oh my goodness. Well, I have 2 books, and I'm getting ready to start on the project for my 3rd book. So that's one part. Another part is education. I educate all the time. I've got a workshop series that I did last year that was incredibly successful. It's a bouquet workshop series that goes over the United States, and I'm doing one again for next year. And then I also do private education. People come here to Dallas at the flower shop that I am a part of, or also to my home studio, and teach everything from 101 if they're getting prepared to go through some sort of certification, or if they want to do their competition kind of boot camp, or if they just want to learn floristry, and we can go section by section. And then I also travel around the United States for people that are interested in me coming to do presentations or workshops.
Amazing, because I know we recently met you at Intrigue in Florida, and you were doing, you were using, we call it the flower frog, but what you use, Kenza, was it Kenza you called it?
Yeah, the Japanese word, but most people know it as the flower frog or a pin frog.
Or a pin frog, yeah. But so education is obviously very much where you are at the moment. So how accessible are you then for? Who's your target? Are they beginners florists starting out, or are they florists that are already qualified, or are they experienced florists that are looking to go into competition? Who is for you?
Well, it's actually, to be honest, it's a full spectrum. For
Okay.
the bouquet workshop tour, it is open and accessible to everyone who's interested. So I had a lot of flower farmers actually last year. And then some people that are already in floristry, they're just looking for inspiration. Some people that are wanting to do more studio work are really focused on wedding floristry. And then some people that want to get into competition work and just know the ins and outs of really good, solid mechanics. So it just does the whole range. And then I also do consulting with flower shops. So I'll go to their actual flower shop, and then I'll talk with the staff and the team, and we can do one-on-one and really focus on maybe an area of the flower shop that their team needs a little bit more refinement, or we can do the basics for new hires. It's all over the board.
Yeah, because I was actually going to say that. What about the business element? Because obviously you've 23 years of your own flower shop, but you're still involved in the retail flower shop now. So your experience is vast in obviously the business and the practical element, and the hiring and firing and training up of staff, I suppose, as well.
I don't like the firing, but
No. But sometimes it's what needs must. Sometimes it's what needs must as well.
It is very true. Company culture is very important. And if you have someone on the staff that depletes that company culture, they need to go.
But you know what? I honestly believe, and we as a flower school training florists, we never meet nasty people. I really feel flowers attract nice people, and nice people work in the industry because I feel flowers bring joy, and it's very hard to, when you're working with something so beautiful, to be cranky. We might be tired and we might be like, oh God, but I do think that flowers attract, we say it all the time here in the school, is that flowers attract nice people, and we always get lovely people. Tell me, so your bouquet tour, tell us about that. I know you're going across America. My geography of America is not great, but I think you're starting in Phoenix in January.
Yeah, we're going to start in Phoenix in January. Then we're going to go to Fort Lauderdale and Miami in March. Not Miami, Fort Lauderdale in March. And then we're going to be in Portland in June, and then Boston and St. Louis in September. So we're kind of hitting all the spots. So anyone who's close that's interested can come, and it's accessible to them. It's a 2-day workshop tour, and it's always partnered with a guest designer. So I have a guest designer in each location, somebody that I've worked with in the industry that I personally find very inspiring, that come along and teach with me. So we do 2 days. In the morning is all lecture and demo, and then we have a lunch, and then the afternoon is all practical hands-on. So all the attendees, they have all the flowers that they can use. All of our flowers are provided by Helverda de Boer, so they're coming in from Holland. And then we have a large list of sponsors, so a bunch of material from our sponsors. So everything is provided, and it's 2 days for $500, which is a steal. I know, it's a steal. And we have goodie bags to give them, and you get access to all these other really inspiring, creative individuals. It's a really heartwarming experience. And
that's incredible. Absolutely. I want to go. Tell me, so when are you going to come to Europe and do these bouquet workshops across Europe?
Well, I mean, actually, that's funny that you say that. That's kind of in the works. I'm working with a marketing company there in Europe, and we just shot our first series of 2 videos. I was over there shooting in Aalsmeer just a month ago, and the first video will be launched January 15th, and then we're going to have some educational content that's going to be kind of smattered around through this year, and then we'll have another video in the fall. So hopefully in 26 I'll be able to come and do a European tour, but I will be there for sure in August for the competition that's going to be in The Hague, the World Cup.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. I actually have our tickets booked for that, so we'll meet again in person. You were actually, when we were in Florida at Intrigue, you were literally heading off to meet your husband in an airport to head off to Holland to do that shoot and to do those videos. I remember you talking about that. But that's actually really interesting, because I really do think, and I definitely feel in Ireland there isn't enough, and I know our population is small and we're a small country, but there's a lot of florists that would love more education when it comes to competition work, and I definitely think there is a huge demand for it. And whether it's in Holland or the UK, although in countries are very accessible to us here in the island of Ireland. So so that's really good to know that you are planning on coming over to visit us as well. Tell us about Florence then. So this is another World Cup.
This is another World Cup. Yep. So this is through Florent, and different countries are members of the Florent organization, and they're opening it up to, I believe it's 33 contestants. The last I saw, that's what it was. So some countries will have one. I think I heard some countries could have potentially more than one, but similar format to the other World Cup, where there's multiple pieces that will be brought, and then other pieces that will be provided, and you'll have a booth and different parameters of what they're looking for as far as the theme or the style or all.
You know yet what the theme is?
I do know what a couple of the things are. They're kind of slowly trickling out the information, and the final group of information to really give a rounded idea, holistic idea of what they're looking for comes out on February 25th. So I've got some starting ideas, but then we'll really get to hammer it down after the 25th of February.
And will you have to do the same thing then, is to ship something over to Holland for this? Do you reckon it'll be sort of the same sort of format?
Yeah, I think that there's one piece for sure that I'm going to have to ship in some sort of way over there. I think that it's going to be just too large for me to kind of break it down and put it into a suitcase. So I'm going to have to ship that. But I think everything else I'll be able to bring with me.
Cool. So we're coming towards the end of this. Tell me, first of all, what is your favorite part of the industry, having come full circle? You know, weddings, events, retail, education, competition. What is your what gives you that excitement the most?
Gosh, it's got to be the people at the end of the day. I mean, all of this is surrounded by people who love flowers, and we are a unique bunch of individuals where we get to feed off of each other, and we get to talk about things that seem weird to other people, but it's like color, line, form, shape, variety, smell, texture. I mean, we get to talk about this, and then we all get excited about that. And it's just a unique group of individuals that I find so wonderful. So it's always going to be the people, no matter where I am, educating, going to symposium, going to competition, just opening up my vast network of friends and colleagues around the world. For me, it's the best gift ever. Yeah,
it is. And you know what, when you for us, like, it has been our life. We have, as I said, we have grown up with it. We were battered and bruised into the shop. But, and I did go on a different journey for a little while, because I did not want to be a florist. I wanted nice hands. I wanted nice nails. I did not want to be a florist. And I went into the beauty industry, and I had my own business there. But yeah, I was slowly then trickled back into it. I never pulled away from it completely. I was always like yourself, always, although you're not on the bench now, you're pulled in when we're really busy. And I was a bit like that. I was pulled in when we were really busy. And then, yeah, I just trickled back in, and it's such an amazing industry, and it's amazing people, and we get to meet amazing people, you know, and we get to travel to amazing places because of flowers. Like, not many jobs can say that brings them, that they can travel the world with their job, and you are testament to that.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I tell people all the time that the organization in the United States, AIFD, the American Institute of Floral Designers, being a member of that and seeing what that could do literally changed my life, because I jumped in with all feet, and it opened up my network, and it opened up opportunities for me. And I really have been able to literally see the world, and to be able to say I've been able to see the world through flowers it's incredible. I mean, I don't know how many people, there's not many people that can say that. So it can take you there. It can take you around the world if you use that. It's just like going to university and getting a degree. Just because you have that degree doesn't mean that you're going to be successful in it. You have to use that degree. So just like this, if you're going to be in the world of flowers and you really want it to take you places, use it to propel you to different places, and you'll go around the world too.
Absolutely. So now I'm going to have to ask you a really, really tough question.
Okay.
What's your favorite flower?
Oh, I love this question. Okay, but I want to know yours first, and I'll tell you mine.
Okay, mine is freesia. I love freesia. Yeah.
Normally you don't hear that. Why do you love freesia?
It's like a triggering flower. I remember growing up in the shop and having mixed bunches of freesia, and the smell and just the way they come in looking ugly and they just blow up into something beautiful. And Jeanette laughs at me. I say, when I die, I want my coffin to be freesia.
Oh, I love that. So your reason is they come in looking one way, but then they blossom into something beautiful.
And the scent and everything about them. Yeah, I love them. They don't smell as much now as they did as when I was growing up. The Irish freesia always had a really strong smell. The Dutch doesn't smell as good or as much, but yeah, no, it's one of my favorites, definitely. I love daffodils as well. I love real fresh, crispy, rattling daffodils.
What's the deeper meaning about why you love daffodils?
I suppose it's probably like rebirth. It's like, it's a spring. It's one of the first ones to come out. And yeah. And yet yellow is not a color that I like. It's not a color that I wear. It's not a color, but daffodils, when I have daffodils in the house, it's just like, whew, everything is just bright and cheerful.
So you love this idea of a bold expression coming up, being something that you're supposed to be, maybe birthing again.
Maybe. Yeah.
I find that I love this question because I do ask people this question, and some people will say, oh, because it's the prettiest flower, whatever. But I always ask the deeper meaning if they're comfortable sharing, if it's not private, because I feel like it goes into your personality a little bit. That you're drawn to the flower that you love for the deeper meaning because it resonates with you in some way.
Yeah.
So interesting. I love that. Okay, so mine is ornithogalum, and specifically the orange. I love the yellow. The white would probably be my least favorite, but I do love white. My whole house is white. But the orange I love for sure. And for ornithogalum, for me, it's because it is very unassuming. You look at this flower before it blooms, and it looks like the tip of an asparagus. It looks like nothing. Right. You don't know the magic that's inside of that. It's kind of like what you're saying with the freesia, right? But then this flower is resilient. This flower will live longer than most flowers I've ever seen in a cut vase. And it turns into something, it transforms, it morphs. And by the time it goes all the way to the end, and it blooms all the way out of the little tip until there's nothing left. And it really did live like its best life. Yes. And I just think it's beautiful. So that's mine.
That's amazing. That's really, I love it. I absolutely love it. Jenny, I have absolutely really enjoyed having this conversation with you. And I know our listeners and our viewers will absolutely love this as well. You're the first, I suppose, competition-y person. And you're the first of, I suppose, top florist in America that we've had on our podcast, and I'm really happy to have you here. I'm looking forward to meeting you in Florence, and we wish you the best of luck when you're there. And we'll get you back on the podcast after that and find out how all that went.
Okay, that sounds great. Thanks for having me.
You're most welcome. And listen, guys, keep tuning in and see who we have next week on our podcast. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.